Hi, and welcome to the Kelly Kitley podcast, America's Social Worker Unfiltered, where every week I have hopeful, honest, and deeply human conversations with changemakers. And today I am so excited to have Nadine Machkovech, who is a motivational storyteller, TEDx speaker, author of the newly released book, Enough Already, a journey home. Oh, I'm sorry, a journey from hiding to healing. I can relate to that. And a founding member and executive director of Rise Together. She is the partner of Anthony Alvarado, who I had, I think it was episode 4. It was in the beginning of the podcast. And I am just so excited. We have so much to talk about. Thank
Yeah, we
you
do.
for saying yes and for being here today.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I know I was talking to Anthony because I met you through his podcast when he interviewed you like many years ago now. And I feel like I've known you now forever, for so long. And of course, we've got to meet in person, which I think is even cooler when you have friends like across the country. But yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'll just tell the story of how we met. So, yes, I was on Anthony's podcast. Were you co hosting it with him at that time or helping produce or no? It was
I
solo.
did co-host once in a while, so I don't
Okay.
know if I was on that one specifically or if I just listened.
Well,
Maybe.
you guys are badasses in the recovery community, and I was like, so that happened, and then we went to the She Recovers conference in LA, and like we saw each other and hugged, and then you had this like crew with you and Jessica,
Yeah.
and then there were celebrities there because it was at the Beverly Hilton, and it was just magical. The silent disco, I mean, the meditation, the yoga writing. I mean, when you meet somebody in recovery and their shared experience, I feel like it's an automatic connection. And that's how I felt with you, having met you on the interwebs and then in person.
Yes.
And now I see everything you guys are doing. So when we logged on today, I was like, wait, I feel like I just saw you, but you're in Florida. Thank goodness.
Yes. Yes. We are in Florida, moving here 10 months ago. Best decision, but born and raised in Wisconsin, so Midwest girl. I love Wisconsin. I always will. I just don't like winters. And that's too long. I very much would get depressed and I struggled so much with
Mhm.
having seasonal type depression that I always wanted to move. It was always a goal. Like when I met Anthony, I told him like one day I want to live near a beach. Like even if it's not forever, I want to at least try it. I am a Scorpio. I'm a water sign. I love water. I've always felt called to it. And we would always vacation like near water. And we grew up at by lakes, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like I wasn't ever near water, but to be by the ocean and salt water, it's just been a different experience. It's been one of the best like healing experiences ever.
Okay. You convinced me. I'll move.
Yeah.
I mean, we do these interviews in real time. I'm like, it's negative something. There's snow everywhere. Like, gross. The sun hasn't come out and you're like radiating sunshine. So,
Yeah.
um,
I'm like sweating on my front porch right now.
well, let's get right to it. I mean, the things you set out to do, you have truly manifested, moving close to water, an ocean at that, and being a mama and having this amazing partner and writing this book. And it is so raw and gritty and like true to who you are and your story. But then it's also going to be so helpful for people who are in their own healing journey and who can learn tangible tools that you teach that worked for you and the letters that you write to your younger self and your future self and pictures. I mean, it is just, even for somebody who doesn't know you, it is so wonderful. And I cannot believe that you are 32 years old. You are
Yeah.
such an old soul and you are so wise and you went through so much at such a young age. And that is your audience empowering and speaking to young people. So I'm going to stop talking and I want you to share your story and where you are today, because it is transformative. And I
Thank
think
you.
that will speak to a lot of my generation who have kids in high school, and also just learning from your old soul as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And I have heard that consistently throughout my entire life, even when I was younger. Um, and parts of me feel like I lived like a former life or that I know more. And yeah, I ended up experiencing way more than I asked for. But also, I have felt called to do this work ever since I was a little girl, to speak out and hopefully make a difference for others, whatever that looked like. And I didn't know it was going to look like this. So, as a person in recovery, from an opiate use disorder, from losing a child, my stepson, bonus son, from losing family members to the, addiction and opiate crisis. And
Two cousins, right?
yes, yeah,
I mean,
both of my cousins.
grief that you have endured. That's like the other part of your story, but like I have to believe it gives you more ammunition maybe to do the work that you do.
It's a both and. It's
Mm.
sometimes yes and sometimes no. Sometimes it's too much and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
yes, like we can question why. So it does. It like really motivates me and encourages me. And it does like, especially having a partner, Anthony, like we are very much, we fell in love doing this work together and are so passionate about supporting community and creating safe spaces for, people to share their story and to use their voice for change. And we ultimately, started by doing that for us and for, our own community and to expand that through things like writing a book. I mean, that is something that I know we were talking about it before, but I'm so proud of it and I'm so grateful. I really didn't know, we don't know, right, where life is going to lead us. But for me, my journey, started when I would say when I was 14 and growing up and going through the pressures of being a teenage girl and learning about myself and going through puberty and finding who I was. And I always wanted to feel as if I was enough, right? And that is why I ended up calling my book Enough Already, because I really struggled with my self-worth and who I thought I was supposed to be for my family, for my friends, for school, for the world. And I never really knew who Nadine was, who I truly wanted to be. I really allowed other people's opinions and pressures to kind of determine the path that I took. And I learned a lot. I'm the youngest. I have four older sisters, two biological and two stepsisters. So I was surrounded by so many girls, and I learned a lot at a early age. And then to kind of cope with the things that I experienced through adverse childhood trauma and like challenges that I faced, and hardships that I endured, like things that I wouldn't hope for anybody to walk through, right? Whether it's sexual assault or watching family members struggled with addiction, or especially my oldest sister who I looked up to and always wanted her to be good enough for her, to be a good enough sister or good enough daughter. And when I, really then found substances to cope with the things that I was dealing with. And a lot of it was just daily life pressures and stressors that every teenager
Yeah.
has to deal with, right? That we all go through. What for me though is that I felt like I was the only one. I thought I was so unique or that my story was so different than everybody else's when in reality what I learned, many years later, especially when I found recovery is that my story was not unique at all and that I really wasn't that different than everybody else. I just never talked about it. I never spoke out about it. And because I, stayed silent, I held on and stuffed those secrets down and, the pressures and things that I held on to. And eventually, like, people say secrets will make you sick. And it did. And for me, I then, coped with substances that till I found the end of the road, right? Until I dug myself so deep into a hole. And it was only at the age of 20, right? Like this was through high school.
So for people listening, you started drinking at 14.
Yes.
How do you go from 14 to 20 experiential, because it's a progressive disease, right? Like how does the trajectory happen like that for someone like you and me? But I mean, right? Like we think about alcohol being accessible for kids in high school, and then maybe drugs become a little more accessible, and then we reach for harder drugs because the things we were using before aren't working as well anymore. Like,
Right.
can you lay that out just for somebody who has no clue? Like,
Yeah.
this is addiction 101 for dummies.
Yeah. Yes. So you said one of the key terms is that it's accessible, right? Like alcohol, substances, especially prescription pills, are very accessible, but also very acceptable. And so we look at Wisconsin culture, drinking culture, like we're known for drinking. We take pride in, our drinking culture that we have. We have we joke about having a bar on every corner and two in between, or having the team name the Brewers, or I mean, we have so many breweries today, and not even in Wisconsin, across the Midwest. And often, especially when it comes to winter time, like what else do we have to do in the winter, right? Kids need stuff to do. And it wasn't so much just a huge step of, drinking or partying with my friends on the weekend when I was offered, a prescription pill. It was there, it was already available. And that's very much how my substance use went. I mean, it wasn't like all of a sudden I just got my, which can happen for some where they get prescribed prescription pills or they, get hurt playing sports or something like
Mhm.
that. Um, for me, it was really more, I was already struggling with drinking and partying and going out and getting into trouble. Like that's what ended up getting me to actually turning to opiates was I was facing, charges for drugs and I ended up getting, a DUI and I was like 16, I think going on 17 at the time. And all that shame just started to like carry so much weight, right? Like it was like one thing after another. And it wasn't just the shame that I was carrying, but then the shame that I received from like my peers or people that I went to school with or that I was in, in community with because I used to be or I was like really well known and I played sports and I got good grades and I went to school and I was a pretty average kid. I even graduated high school early with high honors. Like I was on a path.
That the
And
disease of addiction is crazy. Oh,
yeah,
and you also, like me, have a long family line of untreated mental health and addiction
yeah,
and recovery too.
yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
but you know,
Yeah,
there is
I didn't have many great examples. I didn't know I didn't even really understand what recovery was. Like that was a term that wasn't really in like my vocabulary, right? Like what is recovery? And I had heard of AA. I knew of what, Narcotics Anonymous was and different 12-step programs with family members being in them and knowing they're there. But I also was like, I'm a teenager. I was like, I'm not going to an AA and admitting I'm an alcoholic. Like that didn't seem right to me.
even
Or
after a DUI, you were like, "What?
yeah,
That was a police
yeah, no,
officer's
no.
fault."
Yeah, I don't have a problem, but then it did feel that way because then everybody started talking bad about me or rumors were spread or
Mhm.
it was well then I started dating an older guy and then he was already out of high school and then you can only imagine the comments especially as a female of being a slut or I don't want to
No,
like
say
go
it.
into
Say
words
it.
but
Yeah.
yeah, like,
Uh-huh.
right? Like it was very shaming for
Mhm.
me as a teenage girl and who already struggling with her self-worth, who already doesn't feel good enough.
Mhm.
Well, here I thought these other things or other people or drugs would make me feel enough. And they did for a short time, right? They helped me put this mask on and pretend to be somebody that I wasn't. And yeah, it was fun maybe while it lasted until things did get out of control. And it spun out of control so quickly that, yeah, by the time I went from 14 to 16 using substances, by 17, my life was completely out of control. And I didn't even know if I was going to graduate or what was going to happen. I mean, it was messy and I had to continue to show up and I'm glad that I did, right? And I did graduate and I completed the, tasks that I checked the box that I thought I was supposed to do. But then what? Then I was out of high school and I had no direction. I was living at my boyfriend's grandma's house at the time, and I was like, I just had no plan. I really didn't know where I was going. And I'm so grateful that that was when asked my sister if I could move in with her and if I could just stay with her for the time being to do something different and to maybe have a different path or opportunity to get out of my hometown. I think that was a big thing that I struggled with. And I see a lot of young people that I work with today. They're like, well, there's nothing to do here, or, especially small rural communities.
Yeah.
Well, what else is there to do? That's how I felt. And so I was like, I need to get out of here. And I did, and I moved up to Appleton, which felt like a huge city to me. It's like smaller than Green Bay. It's like even half the size of Green Bay, I think, if you think about it. But felt big to me as from small town girl of Beaver Dam. And I moved up there, and I didn't know what recovery was, but I knew I wanted something different. And my sister was somebody that helped me, created that space for me. I didn't have the opportunity to go to treatment. I didn't have insurance. I didn't have, somebody that would help navigate the system. Recovery coaches were not a thing, right? Like peer support, I had never heard of.
Yeah.
And to navigate that as an 18, 19-year-old, I lost my insurance when I was trying to get support. I did do medicated assisted treatment and I was getting Suboxone and I thought I was, but that became a replacement for me because I wasn't truly working on the stuff inside, right? Like that was just another mask. That was just another way for me to kind of deal with the problem versus truly understanding why I started using in the first place. And when I moved in with my sister and got help and support and detoxed, I realized that, like I mentioned before, my story wasn't so different and that I wasn't the only one that wanted to be sober, that wanted a different life and lifestyle. And it was really cool to actually meet other people that were in recovery that also wanted to have like a normal life in recovery. And one of those people had just so happened to be Anthony. He was one of the first people that I met when I moved to Appleton. And I'm not saying it's all because of him, but he definitely changed my life forever. He absolutely, I mean, I never imagined like spending the rest of my life with him when I met him. He was really
How
like
old
a
were you? Like 21,
yes, I
22?
was 20, for sure.
20.
20 years old, like just found recovery before I could even legally step foot in a bar. Met this random group at a coffee shop that they were like, well, we're in recovery and we want to advocate and we want to let people know that like recovery is possible. And And at first I met them and I was like, you guys are crazy. And you can read the book for all the details, of course. And I know you did, so you know, but I was like, nobody speaks out about recovery. Like, you're crazy. Nobody's gonna listen. Like, don't do it. That's
Okay,
almost
so
how
that
I
was
felt.
12 years ago. I mean, like AA, NA seemingly were the only options
Oh
at
yeah.
that time, especially for a young person. And you just talked about now there's peer support, recovery coaches, online support groups. I mean, I think about what you and Anthony created with Rise Together. Going into, I have chills all over my body. Going into high schools and sharing your story. Imagine if you had that when you were in high school. I'm not saying it would have changed the trajectory of your life. Who knows?
Yeah.
But to hear that and to normalize struggle and needing to ask for help at that young of an age. I mean, I went to my first AA meeting when I was 21 and I was like, oh, hell no. Because if everybody was so much older. So
Yeah.
I empathize for kids who go down the path of recovery at a young age and trying to find that connection, but you're living proof. Like you found it and it came in community and it came with other young people saying, come to the other side and look at what it looks like. And there's other things to do than drink and drug.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. And it was a really, I mean, I want it for everyone because I don't want to be one of the lucky ones that had that community available to me, right? Like it was such a great opportunity that allowed me to know that, yeah, we could go out. I still, at 21 years old, was able to go to a bar and listen to good music and not have a drink because I had people around me to support me in that process. Now, did I? Have I, made mistakes or bad choices in the last 12 years of bad choices? Have I made mistakes, period? Yes.
Yeah,
And
it's process,
I,
right?
yeah, and I have, but I, truly like I feel that's kind of why, well, it is. It's why Rise Together started in the first place, so other people would know that you could find recovery. Yes, but it really was when we started getting in front of young people, when we started serving students, we really saw ourselves in them. And how could we create that space that maybe, would have changed the trajectory for us, that maybe would have been a little bit different, or if I would have just known a little more about recovery and that there are multiple pathways to recovery. And gratefully, I found that and learned that even early on in my recovery because I did think NA was the only way. And when I did, I was pushed out of the rooms and I ended up dealing with some really like unfortunate experiences because not everybody in recovery is awesome, right? Like we're still imperfect people and we make mistakes and we judge others. I get that. And it was it was really hard for me to navigate that as such a young person
Mm,
and to know that I could choose a different way, that I could find other things that work for me. And I did. And I'm so grateful because that's when she recovers, really started making a presence in my life. When I learned that there were other women. So it was one thing to find it in my community, but then virtually all around the world were women living in recovery, and they didn't have to just identify about being in recovery from substances, but in recovery from so many other things. And it really expanded my perception and to understand more on what recovery looks like, and that I wasn't just recovering from drugs. That was a really small piece of my story. Like, especially once I turned 21, which I thought my life was over. I thought I had nothing else to look forward to after that. But once I got over that, and then I learned, really how to live life without substances, but also how to recover from all those other things that I experienced, like the early childhood trauma and assault and experiences that I went through. I had to recover from all of that too. And I think that that's where a lot of, what I was able to write about in my book and what I learned along the way. It wasn't just oh, I got sober and my life is better now, right? Like that doesn't
It actually
happen
gets
for
harder first.
anybody. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I don't think that happens for anybody. Because you have to learn how to navigate life. And even just navigating life as a young adult is already hard. Okay.
Totally. Well, and so you mentioned She Recovers, and that's what brought us together. And I had Taryn and Dawn, the co-founders, on the podcast, and
I love them.
it's so beautiful, all the intersecting connections. And I do want you to tell people what happens after you and Anthony go and speak at a high school, because somebody might want to book you guys after listening to this.
Yeah, yeah,
Come to their high school.
absolutely. So, and that's really where Rise Together, as I mentioned, like as we started speaking out and sharing our stories of recovery, we found really found our purpose working with young people, because we saw that, yes, we were facing such high rates of overdose deaths. We know and truly believe in our hearts that to get in front of this epidemic, it starts with prevention. And prevention starts with connection. It starts with that radically authentic human to human connection. And we not only experience that with Rise, but yes, working with young people by going in and not just sharing our stories of recovery. Like, yes, that's a part of it, but truly being like a raw, real human, because teenagers and kids can see right through the bullshit. Like they will read
Sure.
through you. They know like if you're telling the truth or not. They and so that is for us when we walk in and work with a school and a community. It's not just to raise awareness. Well, that's a part of it. It's really hopefully to inspire them to use their own voice for change, to know that they are not alone. No matter what they're going through, they don't have to face it alone. That it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to let others know what you're going through, and to know that there are other people who care, who have also had to navigate hardship, who have also had to navigate, loss. Or, I mean, especially today when we go in and work with schools, young people are not only getting educated around, this crisis when it comes to addiction and mental health, but they are inspired to stand up and want to make a change, right? Like it's not just like, oh yeah, we have a problem. No, it's about creating solutions and doing something different and breaking the silence. Because I wish that I would have had somebody come in. I wish that somebody would have at least, maybe had more knowledge or more understanding, especially when maybe it wasn't just my substance use, but my family members, or the things that were going on around me. And nobody talked about it. Nobody brought that to my attention, even when I was missing school consistently, or my grades might have been slipping, or, whatever, getting into trouble with the law, all those red flags, right, that were popping up. But nobody checked in like, hey, Nadine, how are you? Right? How can I support you? And so when we went into schools and have now over the last 12 years, we've educated over 500,000 students,
Unreal.
and to educate them through storytelling and to inspire them, yes, to make a difference, but they're the ones that want more education. They want to know how to support their peers. They want to have a safe adult that they can turn to when they're going through a hard time, and to know that that adult isn't going to shame them or judge them or, treat them differently. Instead, they're going to meet them where they're at in their mess and love them and support them and give them, maybe the tools and resources. And so Rise has, yes, we, work with young people, but we also work with adults and teachers and educate those that work with young people on how to create those safe spaces, how to uh, have language when it comes to things like addiction and mental health, right? Especially language with youth. It's like consistently changing. And to even keep up, I know you have kids that are, I'm sure, like, I
Yeah.
can't even keep
I'm
up with
like,
the
can you
lingo.
translate that for me, please?
100%. And so just to like how to meet them where they're at and have those tools. And so I feel like that was kind of a roundabout way of saying what Rise does, but it's more than just a program, right? We are building human connection and relationships in real time because programs aren't going to fix people or communities, right? Relationships do. People do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
And we do that when we're in a safe and healthy place too.
Sure. Sure. That was perfect. Mic drop. And if I can kind of go off topic for just a moment with gathering and community and advocacy and speaking up for what's right. This podcast is dropping in real time, and our country is on fire right now, and especially in Minnesota. And,
Yes.
having people come together and speak up is so important. So, no matter what somebody is struggling with, community is where people can take action, can make change, um, it can feel connected for
Yeah.
a bigger cause, something bigger than ourselves. So it's transferable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, you are a beautiful human and I love you so much.
Thank
And can you tell me about this cute little boy that you have now that you're a mama? Is he two, three?
He is too. He is I want to say like a teenager. They say like pre-nager or whatever, teenager. He is like two going on 12. But he is the cutest. Aidyn was a blessing for us. As I mentioned earlier, we lost, our 17-year-old son Gavin back in 2020. And I know Anthony shared a lot of that story and his story. And he has the strength to share more about Gavin. So go back, listen to that podcast if you want to learn more about that. But after losing Gavin, we
An
were
accidental
absolutely,
drug overdose.
yes, yes, thank you. And it was, yeah, I mean, he passed, well, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
story. But
Sure. You had
with,
grief. You continue to have grief. Grief doesn't just end once you get to
right,
a certain point, and you talk
yes.
about that in your book. So go ahead about Gavin. Sorry. I tend to get really excited and interrupt. Sorry.
That's
Go.
okay. No, that's okay. It was so we have a 20-year-old daughter, Anthony, that's my stepdaughter. So Anthony had two children when I met him, and they were 10 and 8, and the most beautiful kids. I love them like my own. And I grew up with a stepmom. I knew it was like having step parents. I still have a stepmom. They're literally on their way. They're coming to visit my dad and stepmom this week with my stepsister and her kids. I'm so excited. That's another something I'm so grateful for.
And a
Um,
blessing of
Free.
sobriety.
Yes, 100%. Especially because they're all in recovery. I joked about it because I brought home like 3 bags of coffee this morning with a big thing of half and half. And I was like, this is what it looks like when your family's coming to visit in recovery. Um, it's so funny. But to have that, and that's what we're building, right? It's like our legacy for our kids. And when Gavin passed, we absolutely were like, no more kids. Like I couldn't even fathom the idea of having another child because losing one was like the worst thing you can literally ever experience. And anybody that's lost a child knows that, and it's not supposed to happen that way, and when it does it just completely changes your world. And it did for us. And we had no idea what we were going to do, especially even with our nonprofit work with Rise Together, or, what it was going to look like even in our relationship. And if we were going to even move forward and how to navigate, like nobody gives you a manual one on how to be an adult, but also how to navigate relationships and family after losing somebody so close to you. And
That can be your next book.
yeah, right. We learned a lot, but one thing that we did was kind of just take a step back and reassess our relationship and learn how to love who we were in that moment and not really who we were prior to that. Because you change, right? Like grief changes you, loss changes you. Um, I might still be the same person here, but I'm not like the same person in what I do. And like, you just you change, right? And that's natural. We all grow. But Anthony and I started falling in love with each other in a new way, and it was building new relationship, and we ended up getting pregnant by surprise. It was unplanned, but then we had a miscarriage, and then we lost that baby, and that was like we're like shit, like how can we lose a child and then we go through a miscarriage? Like why when that happened, like we were so excited. We were like, we like this must be a blessing. This is what's supposed to happen. And then when we miscarried, I was like, wow, like I really wanted a baby. And I was like that we were because we were so happy and we were like, this is I think was supposed to happen. And then we, took some time and I healed and we had work and life and all the things. And then we did get pregnant again and with Aidyn, who is now, yes, the sweetest little 2-year-old boy. He is our little surfing astronaut. He loves Buzz Lightyear right now. Like, more than any kid I've ever known, like straight Toy Story, like all day. I want to believe it's because we live on the Space Coast now. So he sees like astronauts, the rockets like take off from Kennedy Space Center. You can see him over our house. It's amazing. And so he's like in love with it. He wants to be an astronaut, which is just like, it's so,
I see all these pictures of you guys at the beach, and Anthony's a
oh yeah.
photographer, and so these moments are just breathtaking and captured in the most beautiful light. So anything that is going wrong in your life, go to Nadine Speaks, and you will find some calm. Like it's like
Yeah.
looking at puppies. This towhead kid who is just a little nugget.
I know he is. He's so cute. And now I'm trying to even be more cautious of how we share him on social and
Yeah,
just,
true, true, true.
of course, being conscious of him and who he's growing to be. And it's weird because we live in such a digital world and I love it. And Anthony is literally the best photographer. And so, yeah, you see his photo. I mean, he has like the most perfect little curls. Like his hair is, we had to cut it. It looked like a mullet. Now like if you put his hair behind his ears, he looks like a different child. He's a different little human, but his hair's so blonde, naturally blonde, especially in the sun. And yeah, he loves to be in the water. I think he's going to be a little surfer one day, surfing. We surfed for the first time this last year. I never imagined surfing in my life, ever. Kelly, like I'm a Midwest girl. I grew up like in fields and on four-wheelers. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but
Oh, I
it's
love
true.
like the shift that you're providing for your child.
Yes, yes, he has no idea. Um,
And he gets to grow up in a home substance free. I mean,
yeah,
that is the golden ticket.
100%. It is. And it's yeah, I'm grateful for him. I can't wait to see what he does. And now it's not just him, but Anthony's brothers both have, one baby boy is on the way. His other boy is 2 years old, same age as Aidyn. And so they're gonna grow up like cousins at the same age. And it's so cool. It's so fun, like to watch and build legacy, right? To
Yeah,
build for the next generation and to,
yes.
not just create these spaces for youth in schools, but at home. And um, it's awesome. It's so cool. It's very different to parent together, to navigate parenting, whereas like prior it was Anthony was dad and kind of what he said went, right? And I was like the step parent or, the bonus mom that was really not, didn't get the ultimate say in things. And so it's different and we've learned how to navigate that. And we're still learning how to navigate that, especially as Aidyn learns more words. Now, no mama and no dada is his favorite thing to say. He's like, and he walks, I was going to share this video. He walks around the house with little microphones. Like he has so much to say. I can
Well, look
only,
who his
he's
parents
gonna,
are. I
yeah,
mean,
I can
come
only
on.
imagine he's going to be the next advocate, speaker. Um, yeah, it's so cool. I love being a mom. I had no idea I was going to love it this much. And it's awesome. I'm so grateful.
Congratulations on all the things. Enough already.
Yeah,
Enough
thank you.
already.
Yes, yes.
That needs to be my new tattoo. I got I mean, not my new tattoo, your new tattoo.
Yeah, yeah.
Put the title of my book on my arm just to remember,
Yes.
like it's
Yes.
good. It's an accomplishment. And like you mentioned, cathartic.
Oh, I
You
have
already
it.
do. You
Yeah.
already do have a tattoo. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I will put the link to Nadine's website in the show notes so that you can find the link to her book. And for everybody listening, just a friendly reminder to be the change that you wish to see in the world, whether it comes from you, your family, your community. It's just one day at a time. Have a great day.